Hi everyone, thanks for coming. I can see a few people sliding in at the back there. Come on, feel free to take a seat near the front, that's okay. That's very big. My name is Daniel Colaianni. I'm the Chief Executive at AIXR and the original co-founder of the VR Awards. So I don't usually host every single one of these, but I was very excited by some of the work that AAA Code are doing. Today we're going to be hosting an AMA with them to talk about their win at the recent VR Awards. So I would like to introduce and welcome up André kind of to the stage here, who will be having a chat with us today about that. And at the same time, everyone, this is an Ask Me Anything session, right? So I'm gonna kick us off, and I'm gonna start us off with a few questions, and then André to introduce himself. But I would absolutely love to welcome any questions that you have and questions that you'd like to ask on this. Of course, for those of you that are watching this as a stream as well, unfortunately you won't be able to ask questions now, but we'll be able to follow up on that afterwards as well. But that's enough of me talking. André, welcome to the VR Awards AMA here. I would love to ask you then about yourself. What are you? What does AAA Code do? Why did you guys win Rising VR Company of the Year, do you think?
So thank you first of all for the nice introduction. Thanks for having me here. I'm the CEO of AAA Code, and we are all about creating virtual reality products that we think should solve like some hardcore problems that we still have in virtual reality. And we set out 2 years ago with one of the biggest problems, in our opinion, is that you feel isolated in virtual reality and disconnected to the real world. So what we notice is that people usually after 5 to 10 minutes they take off their headset and they usually check their environment or check their phone because they think they missed something. And this was one of our first things where we saw first challenges where we saw a big opportunity here. And our idea was basically that we take your phone and use it as a bridge between the virtual world and the real world, that we can eliminate this fear of missing out, that you don't have this anymore when you are in virtual reality, that you can stay there longer, that you feel safe, that you feel comfortable. This was our main goal. And Holoswitch is all about this. So maybe we show a little intro about this for Holoswitch.
I think that would be great.
Everyone knows, in case you guys don't know.
Did you know there is a way to use your phone in VR? Introducing Holoswitch. Receive calls, messages, and other notifications while in VR. Stay in touch with the real world without taking off your VR headset. Don't like surprises? No problem. Stream your phone camera and microphone directly to VR. Always know what's happening around you. Save VR clips and screenshots on your phone. Share your favorite moments with friends. Holoswitch. Take your phone to virtual reality.
Yeah, so this was basically the original idea that we started out with, and now it has become a lot more. So the first thing that we wanted to do is bring notifications into VR. So what you can do with Holoswitch is basically you can take your iPhone or your Android phone, connect it to your PC, and then you will receive in any Steam compatible or Steam VR compatible game or application. You have then the Holocom. This is basically our virtual smartwatch, and this will show you then the notifications while you're in VR. So you are connected still to your digital world, and to have like an idea what is happening around you in the physical world. We introduced a feature that basically we call as Peephole, that basically allows you to make a surveillance of your environment. This initially started when we got a request by someone, or we saw a video by someone, and then he requested this. He showcased us like how he's in virtual reality. I think he played some flight simulation game. And then he made this crazy setup to have like an overlay in virtual reality to see his baby sleeping, if it wakes up or if it doesn't wake up. And we thought like, hey, when we have like already the connection to the phone, then we can also support this and use the camera of the phone so you can basically have a surveillance of your environment and feel safer. Like when people walk into your room, just see what's going on, that you're not completely disconnected.
Okay, amazing. I like to imagine as well that there's probably been many a situation where you've kind of been playing a VR game and not really quite realizing how crazy you look on the outside to everyone.
So yeah, you can use this basically to monitor yourself, to see how stupid you look yourself, and of course to monitor your environment. So this whole thing of fear of missing out was like one of the was like the core challenge that we tried to solve with Holoswitch. And like as a secondary objective, we saw this very early on, and I'm talking with a lot of people. They always say like, hey, it's so hard to get things into VR and also to get things out of VR. So content into VR and content out of VR. And to solve this, we thought like, hey, when we have this holocom and this is already like showing the notifications, we can extend this a little bit and we can make it much more easy for you guys to share actually content, to create content and share it with your friends. Before, this was super tedious. With Holoswitch, it's basically a breeze because you can just use a snap tool. So we are overwriting the Steam VR snapshot function, make you some very nice and beautiful screenshots. And the other thing is like you can very easily record videos, and those videos and also the screenshots, they're directly saved on your phone from where you can share them like you do with any other messenger or whatever.
Yeah, no, I think that's fantastic, and I think it's something that a lot of people in this room, if they're not using it already, would definitely find useful. Just a reminder for you guys, you have the opportunity tonight to actually ask absolutely anything that you'd like to Andre and the team from AAA Code about Holoswitch and some of the work that they've been doing, but also the wider industry questions and things that you're interested about.
Then,
so
then you can
ask you guys
just one second. Can we maybe? I don't know if everyone is familiar with. We can just show this quick video that everyone knows what we're talking about, because I know like if you don't use this, then it's very hard to imagine like what we are actually talking about. So
yeah,
maybe
no,
just
for
for illustration purposes. Yeah.
So yeah,
Anyway,
I'd recommend if you have a question, put your hand up. You can raise your hand, and then we'll go through that systematically to make sure that we're there. Just feel free to raise your hand at any time, and then we'll start going through kind of anything there. But yeah, feel free to play the video then. That's fine.
So here you basically see the first feature, notifications. So notifications are supported in two ways. First, there are a lot of games where you actually don't have controllers, so we have like a pop-up field in the center of the screen. And then for those games where you can use your hand, we have the smartwatch holocom that we call. So works both ways. We actually, many users told us they're playing racing games, and for this, they actually don't have these controllers here. So they need a pop-up to have it like in their field of view. You can activate and deactivate both. This is a capture feature that I talked about. So through your holocom, you can basically quickly access here a video recording functionality. Then the video is recorded. You see here. And then when you're done, you basically press the stop button. It automatically saves the video. And when your phone is connected, it also syncs directly with the phone.
That's pretty cool. So I've got the thing about this, right, is I feel like it must be incredibly difficult, because obviously you guys have created a UI that goes over the top of these applications. So it's quite interesting to me to see, I guess, what mechanisms and what things had to have to go into place to allow these kind of things.
Yeah, let's talk about the people. We can talk about this in a second. I just want to go through the features quick. This is the people feature that basically shows your environment, so you can see yourself or monitor your environment, see what is going on. Then regarding your questions with UX, I think this is one thing that we paid from the beginning on very, very big attention to. Lot of the tools that you have on Steam, there's not so much thought, I would say, like about the user experience, like how to make this very easy to use these things. I think making the holocom and also making like this dashboard with the gallery, this took us several iterations until we eventually arrived at a point where we think it's easy enough for users, and where we saw in the user testing, like, okay, people now start to use this intuitively without us needing to make big explanations there. And we ended up like in the end, the toughest challenge was actually for the holocom to make the interaction scheme there working. Now we're having we played around with gestures, with training, activating holocom with certain gestures. It was all too complicated, and in the end we ended up with something very similar, very simplistic. You just go with your hand towards your watch, and then it activates, and you go basically into an interaction mode and quickly can access these things. Because our challenge is basically that we are an overlay app. So I would say we fall into the category of augmented virtual reality apps. So we are rendering over your existing content. And this makes it especially challenging because we have interaction conflicts, of course, with the underlying application. So you just imagine like the underlying application uses like a similar scheme, like a smartwatch for interacting. Then this makes it, of course, quite tough. We usually can solve or get around these issues by assigning the holocom to a different hand. So you can have it on your left hand or your right hand, that it doesn't conflict with the underlying application.
No, that's yeah. I think like the UX when it comes to XR experiences and things like that is really interesting. Something that you touched on that was super interesting to me there was this idea that you guys class yourself as an augmented reality or augmented application, right? So does this mean that the Holoswitch, I guess, could apply to hardware that's not just VR then, and could actually integrate into kind of AR kind of environments as well?
Definitely, it's built in this way that we could easily render on top of augmented reality. So say, for example, you have an image detector that can reliably recognize your hand where it is. Then, of course, we could also put this there, or like the free floating pop-ups. This would be something that works quite easy. But from the system itself, it's built in a way that that you could also have this in AR. Yes.
Okay. Amazing. So I just want to do a quick check with the audience here to see if there's any questions here. If anyone would like to ask André a quick question, feel free to raise your hand. Oh, I can see one there from you, Chris. Chris
can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, can hear you.
Cool. Yeah. So this is mostly for games and things like that at the moment, I guess, and like at home use. Do you see applications for this for like enterprise use, like people using this at work or speaking to each other or training to send messages?
Yes, so the question is if we see a use case basically outside of gaming and entertainment in a more production environment, if I understand this right. And yes, we've been talking to several big German companies. They see this need definitely, that they have something like this. For example, designers that are longer in VR when they're designing, for example, automobiles. And they need something like this, not just for the sake of being aware of what is happening around them and for not missing phone calls, but especially for getting the data in and out. That's basically their main concern. I cannot reveal so much about this because this is very early stage. There is interest, but we should also be aware that the industry, at least in Germany, the industry is still seeing VR, or they're making experiments with VR. So they're still in a prototyping phase. But I can tell you this, like we've been talking with companies that are in manufacturing, in design, and also companies that see VR as something that would entertain you while you're driving a car, so in the back seat.
Cool.
Oh, wow. Amazing. So I can see there's another question here from Fifi. Fifi, you're on megaphone.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hi, nice to meet you. Just a couple of questions actually, so I want to get them out of the way. One is it compatible for the Oculus right now, so I can download it? And two, can you answer phone calls while you're on there, or is that something that you're planning to go into in the future?
So yeah, I guess these are the two most asked questions right now. So when is it coming for the Oculus Quest, and can you answer phone calls? The first question I can answer like this. We evaluated the Oculus Quest, and from a technical perspective, it's definitely possible. There was another company, I'm not sure if you're aware of them, YourFit, that basically tracks your calorie burns while you're playing Beat Saber or other sports games. They had an overlay just like ours, so they also managed to make like augmented virtual reality on the Oculus Quest. The thing is, just as we reached out to Facebook before we invested like a lot of time and money in porting it for the Oculus Quest, and Facebook basically more or less very clearly told us that they would not release such an app in the store, since we would not use an official API. So we are kind of dependent here on Facebook's API, or no, what's Meta Oculus. But they're not using the same API as you have on Steam. What you can do right now is you can connect the Oculus Quest with a link cable to your PC, and then it basically runs via Steam VR. Then you have this, then it's no problem, but just not the standalone part. And until now, there's also, at least I'm not aware of this. I need to ask my developers. But my last info is there is still no API for this that we can augment basically their reality. So the next thing is with making phone calls. With making phone calls, we went like 1 year to the hell of Bluetooth just to support the iPhone and make notifications happen also from the iPhone, because this was one of the most requested features that that we don't only support Android, but also give all the iPhone users the possibility to forward their notifications there. This was quite tricky. We learned a lot about Bluetooth in this process, and I can say so much. We have an early prototype where you can make phone calls, but this is still far from production ready and from releasing it. Because we always think like we plan features, we test them with early adopters, with a small group, and when we feel comfortable that from the UX and from the stability, these things work good enough, then we release it to the public. So, but keep an eye out there; it will come. Just no ETA yet.
Fantastic. I can just only imagine the amount of pain you went through with Bluetooth for that.
Yes, this is especially Bluetooth on Windows. It's like a very, very special story.
Okay, great. So anyone else in the audience at the moment who has a quick question for André, or anything that you'd like to have answered? And also, you know, anything that comes from a development perspective, but also industry perspective. Timogen, I can see that you just raised your hand. Here you go. I'll put you on loudspeaker. Here you are.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, can hear you.
Great. So you just mentioned a second ago when you were answering the question about the Oculus, you mentioned Steam VR. So I use Steam VR all the time with my Oculus. Were you indicating that if you were using it in that way, you could use this with the Oculus? Or is that?
That depends on which Oculus. So the what is your question exactly about the Quest?
Yeah.
So the Quest, you can connect it with your PC you can connect it basically with a link cable. You can enjoy all the games. I'm honest with you, like from a mainstream perspective, this doesn't make so much sense that people buy like a standalone headset and then also buy an expensive PC to have their virtual reality games. But we know the reality is right now like this, that also on Oculus you don't have so much content, people connected to Steam to enjoy the content there. So as long as you have it through this link cable, basically the Oculus, everything on Oculus runs through OpenVR. That's the underlying rendering API that we are using.
Perfect.
And since it's OpenVR based, we can also show it then on the Oculus Quest. So this is not a problem.
Well,
but
then that'll probably work. And I don't actually use the cable. I don't know how up you are on that, but they have wirelessly made it possible to now do that PC VR on the Quest 2, just using either the AirLink, as they call it, or there's an app called Virtual Desktop. Both of those work really well. So you still get the power of PC VR, but wireless, which is kind of the appeal of the Quest 2. So from what you're saying is, as long as you're doing it that way, it may work with the Quest 2.
That way it works. Yes. The only thing that doesn't work is if you buy now just games or experiences from the Oculus Store through the Quest itself.
Right.
Just using it in the standalone way. There we have unfortunately no way of putting our overlays there, of augmenting their.
Yeah, that makes sense. Total sense. Thank you.
Thank you for that question. So just checking for other questions. I can see there's one from DJ Ron. DJ Ron?
No,
you are on megaphone. Oh, a mistake. No worries.
Yes.
That's fine. I'll take you off there. Cool. So is there any other questions from the audience at the moment? Just trying to see my panel. There we go. Okay. Well, in the meantime, I have another question for you, André. Sure. My question would be, how do you guys see the future of an application like this? I mean, do you see this becoming something that's integrated natively into headsets or natively into software, or would you see it something that's going to stay standalone by itself?
Now, I think there are two possibilities here. This is the first, and this is I can be honest with you guys, is what we are following right now, is that we have like a deep integration into other metaverses. So really integrated, change it from this overlay perspective where we just render over to make a deep integration, just for the simple fact that we can have fancy 3D models there, better materials. It just looks nicer and we can do more with the interaction. The technical limitation that we have right now is that everything we can do through OpenVR in terms of overlays of augmenting this is limited to 2D. So it's basically 2D images that we put on top there. We try a lot to make it look fancy and 3D, but that's the reality there. So there's a full stop when it comes to 3D models. So I definitely see a way there that this. We're talking with several other companies of integrating it deeply into their experience, and then branding maybe the holocom, something like this. This is the one way that I see that we can do now. In the long run, I see it like this: that sooner or later we will have a standard, a rendering standard with AIXR that works across all headsets. And there are already initiatives, there are already early things that we see that this augmenting these experiences becomes, I would say, more and more sophisticated, also goes beyond like just simple 2D rendering, but where you really have 3D models overlaid on top of each other and also integrating with the existing content. So this is something that we are actually looking out to. And the good thing is, like, if you have a standard that everyone agrees, I mean, Microsoft has OpenXR integrated. Oculus started with this. Valve completed this initiative last year, so it's an active development. And when you have a standard like this, then it's also for us, of course, easier to support a bigger variety of platforms. Like this market fragmentation that we have right now with different. This is not only different possibilities, but. How can I say this? We can do very, very fancy things on a PC, but we are very limited when it comes to the mobile hardware. If we want to go more crazy there, and I'm talking specifically about the video capturing feature. So for this, you need to have like a strong hardware. I'm not sure like how well this would work on Android, because I think the Android operating system, so Oculus Quest is based on Android. I think this is already under heavy load when it has to do virtual reality rendering, sound rendering. So this is something that we would need to see. But basically, to come back to your questions, these are the two things that we see. The first thing, integrating it directly, making a deep integration via an SDK for metaverse providers. And the other way is that we basically extend it once, but this requires basically that the standard is ready and that it's stable and it has been implemented by all the manufacturers.
Okay, yeah, no. And how many of you guys are working on this application?
There's right now 4 people are working on this application, and then we have a couple of freelancers doing UX.
Wow, let's give them a round of applause, guys, because there's just 4 people working on this application here, which is completely changing the way we can communicate within XR. Fantastic.
Thank you. Can I also make the emojis? Oh.
Yeah, you can. There you go.
Oh, nice. This is something that I cannot do in reality. Interesting.
Okay, great. So just a reminder, if you have any questions, please put your hand up now. Just open up to the audience again for any quick questions. Oh, there we go. I think Stefan just figured out how to do the emoji. There we go. Okay, I've got another question from Timogen.
Exactly, yeah.
Imogen, you're on loudspeaker.
Yeah, just real quick was when I was looking at the video and it had the peephole, I think you call it, where you can see what your someone is in your room and that thing. Are you able to move that around within your view, decide where it's at, whether it's center or maybe off to the right?
Yes, we have basically 9 positions that you can attach it to. So you can put it on the center top, center bottom, and so on. So all 9 positions you can use of your rectangle that you can put it where it's the most comfortable for you.
Got it. And this is available now in Steam VR?
And Steam VR is it's through Steam, yes. So you purchase it through Steam, and then this. I mean, it was quickly shown in the video. Basically, you have the small button on your controllers that usually open the Steam dashboard, and then we have this integration in the Steam dashboard where you can access the gallery, the pictures, your videos can watch them, and there you have also the settings where you want your people to be.
Got it. All right, thank you.
Okay.
Fantastic. Is there any other questions from the audience here? If not, I have another question from me. My question is more around, like, I'd love to know what your biggest challenge actually is or was when creating this application.
The biggest challenge by far, as I said, was Bluetooth for iOS. This was definitely the biggest challenge. I'm actually very, very proud of this, what we achieved there. And it was quite some developers until we found a solution there, how to do this. But right now, we are actually the only ones that can receive notifications on Windows if you connect your iPhone. Windows has crazy limitations when it comes to Bluetooth. It's probably because of the variety of dongles. But we needed to make a lot of tricks to make this work that in the end we can catch those notifications from iPhone.
And was it easier to work on iPhone or Android?
Android is by far easier. So Android is basically, from a developer's perspective, they have a very open API. It's not so much restrictions. Apple says, of course, this is very dangerous. So if you're more into security, then I would definitely advise you to get an iPhone. If you're more for flexibility, then get an Android. But yeah, like the whole constraints that we faced on iOS, they're much tougher than Android.
Yeah, no, I can imagine that. And so when obviously that's like the hardest challenges, and that's one of the hardest ones. But was there anything actually that pleasantly surprised you when you were making this and you're thinking, you know what, this was you went into it expecting this is gonna be really, really hard, this is gonna be impossible, and then maybe had the opposite effect?
I think our interaction with the Holocom, because in the Holocom, I think this a little bit from the design perspective, like how to interact with this thing, and then in the end, we came to a point where we throw basically all our concepts away, tried something very simplistic, and it turned out to be very intuitive. So we got very positive user feedback there. So this was definitely the opposite way around, yes.
Okay, yeah, no, amazing. So you got the holocom and you got these other aspects, but there's also some other work that I've heard that's actually on the horizon as well, right? So
yes.
What could you let us know, give us a bit of insider knowledge on what's on the horizon?
So basically there are some other unsolved challenges in VR, and this is like a bit of a chicken and egg problem. But right now you cannot buy anything in VR. Everyone is talking about buying things and shopping in VR. The reality is like, no, there is no way that you can easily buy things from within VR. What we are experimenting with right now is basically this. With the holocom, we already have the connection to your smartphone, and we think of extending this in a way that this basically becomes your virtual smartwatch that you can take anywhere. And just as you do in the real world, if you have a smartwatch and you can pay in the supermarket touchless, this is something that we would like to bring to VR. Because we have the phone connection right now, so we can use security features of your phone. We can mirror the phone completely. It's not something that we can that is released to the public yet, but we can mirror the phone completely and remotely control it from within VR. So you basically have the security that you know from your phone when you pay, combined with virtual reality. And I think this will unlock also for developers a lot of possibilities, because right now it's also not very easy to monetize your games. Making in-app purchases is all very cumbersome. This is what we're working on right now to make this much easier. If you're interested in this, just go to holopal.app, and there you can see some videos of some early prototypes we made.
Yeah, I think we might have
a video. Basically where we had.
If we have a video to play, maybe we can play it now. If
yeah,
not,
I think right. I think Felix also sent you a video of the holopal there, then we can show this.
Yeah, because it's a pretty cool concept in my mind.
People seem to like it.
I was gonna say that, Andre. Remind me not to link my credit card to this and then hand it to one of my younger family members.
Yeah, they would spend all your money, definitely.
Yes, exactly.
But the good thing is it's linked in the end to your. So you have a lot of control. You cannot just use your credit card. In the end, the thing that was requested from us, or the feature that was requested from us, is that we can provide two-factor authentication. So you always need to have like a second device that you can confirm. So even if you make the purchase in VR, a lot of times you need to have this two-factor authentication, confirm it on another device, so here your phone, to really make the purchase, to make the transfer.
Okay, that's very, very good news. Yeah, I think it's interesting here because I think we're at this intersection. I think I just ask everyone, who's heard the word metaverse in here? Put an emoji up if you've heard it. If I don't see the entire room with emojis right now, then there's something going wrong.
Nobody has heard of a metaverse.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I think sometimes this can be a bit of a buzzword, and people can overuse it and misuse it in different ways. But there's a really interesting concept here, right? In terms of how Holoswitch here is in a broader context is allowing us to stay connected to real life and also stay connected to the virtual world. So my question is, how do you see this in the broader context of the metaverse? But also, we're talking right now about bringing real life into virtual reality. Is there a possibility here that we can do it the other way around as well? Because many of us have friends and people that we interact with in VR, but may not necessarily be able to interact with as much in the real world or the physical world.
Yeah, so the first question was now about the broader context of the metaverse, so where you see it.
Yes.
Did I get this right? Okay. So I think where the VR market is right now is that we see actually a lot of metaverses, and I think if we look actually a little bit closer into the gaming scene, not just limited to VR, then we actually have already a lot of metaverses, because all those games, they have their own communities, and I see VR more as an extension of this. So coming back to the question that you had before with the deep integration or the overlays, this is then clearly something where we would need to have a standard with OpenXR that we can offer this across different metaverses. In my point of view, it will take a long time. Maybe we'll never see this. I mean, since VR is there, everyone is thinking like, okay, we will have this one metaverse. It will be similar like the internet. But in order to have this, you need exactly those standards. They need to be defined. And since they are not there, and everyone is basically more or less cooking their own soup, the reality is that we have multiple metaverses. We have here Allspace VR, we have VR chat, and all of this. There you look different. You have different items. Our vision for the future is that you can have virtual appeal, something like the Holocom, and that you can take this stuff with you to multiple applications. That this works everywhere where you have it. And we're also exploring the options that this is not now, but this is maybe in 5 years that you can buy yourself a watch in the store. It's connected with an NFT, and then you also have this watch basically for your virtual character. And this is then unique, so it's not something that you can copy, but that you have like a unique appeal. Have this beautifully rendered watch with the functionality of a Holocom inside that forwards the notifications.
Okay, that's amazing. Apologies for any background.
Sense?
Yeah, no, that definitely makes a lot of sense. And apologies for any background in my microphone. I've got a bell ringing class from a church next door to me. One perils of the metaverse so far, struggles with noise cancellation. Okay, great. I can see there's a question here from Chris.
Yeah, thanks. I saw when I was looking, when you mentioned about like future things and that sort of stuff, and I saw you guys have online like a live roadmap that people can just sort of like contribute to. So like, do most of these ideas come from like your audience anyway? You said someone sent you a video and a request before. Like, is that how you're mostly deciding what to do next?
That's actually dynamic. I would say it's 50-50. So 50% of the ideas come up from us, but actually it's often not so really clear like where the idea come from, because we have a very active community in Discord, and of course we engage with the people in solving their problems. And from time to time, there I would say it's not directly ideas that pop up, but it's interesting problems that they have that pop up that trigger our interest. And then, of course, we propose different ideas. And if the idea is good, there is a majority for this. As far as I know, the number one feature is, of course, taking phone calls in virtual reality, which makes a lot of sense. And if we can get there, that you don't even need to put down your headset, but you can just take on calls like you can do in the car, this would be actually pretty. But it's 50-50. It's mixed. It's not all the ideas come from users. Not all the ideas come from us. It's actually a very, very dynamic process. And I think this is also one of the key successes for Holoswitch, because like even when we had just the very first version for Android with very limited functionality, so there was only notification forwarding. We had like a very active user base that gave us feedback, that recorded videos, that showed us if the UX worked, and provided us, of course, in this process with ideas.
Oh, pretty cool.
Thank you for that question. Do we have any other questions from the audience? I know there was 1 or 2 a minute ago, the moment I asked about metaverse. You've got a question, you can just use the little raise hand icon in the lower right hand corner. or ping up on my radar, and I can put you on the stage. But André, I did also have that kind of follow-up question as well for you, which was that idea of the two-way world and two-way communication and interaction. So I just it may not be on your roadmap or may not be on your horizon right now, but I just wondered if I can get your opinion on that in terms of, you know, the application right now is bringing the real world into the virtual worlds, but I guess your opinion on bringing the virtual worlds into the real world or the physical world.
So your question is about like how can we communicate basically from inside the VR, like with the outside world? It's not just
Exactly.
a one-way channel, but a two-way channel.
Yep.
I mean, if you look at the roadmap or the feature requests that the users come in from, I think like one of the top most rated things is the ability to answer messages. So right now you can see the notification. We are actually pretty advanced with this right now. It's not ready to be released for the public, but we managed that you can answer also notifications, and we will definitely roll this out. So there you have like the first step of bidirectional communication. That's not just information coming in to VR from the real world, but you can also send something back. Actually, this is clear, and we are also like in some very early prototyping of having a dedicated messenger there. Because right now you have a lot of tools. You can use Steam, for example, to send to your friends messages, but to send messages from VR to your friends from any application right now, this is not possible. So what we imagine is that with like a quick reply functionality, we can at least make sure that you can answer your WhatsApp messages, and if you have like friends that also enjoy VR, you can chat then basically like you have this on the PlayStation. You can chat with them from your phone to VR and vice versa. The biggest challenge that we see there is actually UX-wise, because typing on a keyboard in VR is not fun at all. This is instead of using all your 10 fingers, you usually are limited to one, which makes this a very tedious process. So I see this happening in the broader context, like when we have very good speech to text. This is like a critical component, I think, for this, that your speech gets recognized reliably and that you communicate in a more natural. This keyboard thing, I don't know, maybe opinions about this, but I think it's very, very tedious. It makes sense to bring this in from the virtual world, but as an interaction scheme, it's not the best.
No, I think that makes a lot of sense as well. So just I've got like if in case there's not any other questions from anyone here, just a quick question for me as well. Here is obviously, so you guys are actually a recipient of the Rising VR Company of the Year award. I just wanted to get your view then on, I guess, the impact that this award actually meant to you guys, and any tips and tricks you might have for people who also might be nominated.
We are very honored, and I can tell you, like, with the huge impact on the company or the motivation. I was again like to thank our team who made this possible. I think what we all should do is not give up so easily when you face hard challenges. VR faces still a lot of hard challenges, but I think with some optimism and some dedication, usually all those technical challenges, they can be solved. And if we're interested in making VR more appealable to a wider audience, we need to solve those questions. Because we hear, for example, with Holopel, we hear a lot of people talking in theory, like how it is that you shop in virtual malls and that you use. Until now, there's nothing like this there. So eventually, someone needs to make the first step and innovate there and find solutions like how this is possible. And for us, receiving this award was seriously, it was the biggest confirmation that we could get last year, and was definitely a highlight. So thank you very much. This was awesome.
No worries. And just a reminder, like the awards process is completely independent. So, you know, this goes through, we have a judging panel of over 70 different judges who are assigned to different categories. So it was definitely definitely a well-recognized award there, because I think, you know, in terms of the content that you guys are judged on, it's not just the application you guys have built, but also the ethos of the team, the mentality, the work you've been putting into this. As we mentioned, it's only, you know, 4 people who've worked on something that, you know, really has a real deep integration into some of the APIs and integrations out there. So, you know, it's definitely well deserved in terms of, in my eyes, in terms of that award for you guys. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, great. So just wanted to throw it out there just before we do wrap this thing, wrap up this AMA for tonight. If anyone in the audience has any final questions or any final burning things that they want to find out on that, then please put your hand up right now. Okay. So what would be fantastic then, Andre, from you guys, is just to let our audience know how they could reach you in the future, and you know, what you know, if there's any final remarks and closing things that you want to end with.
The best way to reach us, just go on our website. There's a big Discord button, and just join our channel. We are very reactive and active there, so we can answer your questions there the fastest. Other than that, thanks for having me here. This was the first time I ever
I can see actually I got a question
here.
I got a question from Stefan as well. Yeah, here you go. I'll just put Stefan on the microphone. Here you go.
Thank you. Did I understand you right? Are you a startup? Is it located in Germany? And have you been a member of an incubator or accelerator? And if yes, can you recommend for the Germany incubator for VR startups?
I mean, personally, I have my experience with German incubators. I would definitely not recommend this, at least not for the space of VR, because here the risk is still high for this product to be created. So behind us, we have angel investors that believe in VR, that have a long-term strategy. So not talking about some quick wins here, what usually accelerators and everyone else is looking for, but really long-term strategy. We're talking about 10 years here. And for this, you need to have other people that share the same vision and that can carry you through this process. And
Okay,
yes, we are, regarding to your question, yes, we are based in Germany. We are based in Berlin. We are actually sitting very close to Alexanderplatz. So if you're also here, just to pay us a visit.
Okay. Yeah, I'm from Vienna. Thank you.
And come over.
Amazing. Well, what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to turn off the stage blocker and invite everyone to come up to the stage with us. Feel free to pop here. We'll take a quick selfie, a quick photo. So everyone, if you feel free just to teleport up to the stage, take a quick photo with everyone. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, come on up. Don't be afraid. Come on, Stefan. There we go. Cool. Everyone, yeah, over here. Go on, Joe. Henry, come on up.
Virtual group picture. That's interesting.
Yeah. This is our group photo. There we go. Jolly, do you want to come on up? There we go. There's the stairs there for you guys. Okay, everyone. So I'm just gonna get the camera out on my side here. Yeah, Joe, can you make up the stairs? Okay, great. Everyone, if you show me your emojis on the count of 3, everyone. Oh god, I can't even see it properly. I'll ask Lisa if you could move over to the center there, because I can't even get myself into this. There's too many people here. Okay, on the if everyone just gives those emojis, then as many emojis as you can. There we go. There's hearts. Yeah, there we go. Claps. Give a big round of applause to Andre and his team there. There we go.
Thank you very much.